All right, so we are on to chapter 14, where we're looking at firms in competitive markets. All right. Before we shoot too far in chapter 14 actually helps you review chapter 13, which is where we look at cost. And if you recall, we were looking at costs in terms of money. We ended up deriving, remember that big long table we did, and we said, hey, is it reasonable to say that, marginal cost looks like this? Okay. And average total cost looks something like this. And average variable cost looks something like this. And we graphed all that. Remember that last time? Good, because that's where we're starting out there. Excuse me. Chicken them on spit. That's the thing about these double maps. They hold everything in, right? They actually don't. No, that's effective, but whatever, I digress. This week, we are talking about competitive markets. And competitive markets are defined by really three things. Many buyers, many sellers, and virtually identical products or services. All right? And when you have many buyers and many sellers, everyone's what we call a price taker. They have no market power. Everyone knows a monopoly is one seller, right? And they have some market power. We'll talk about monopolies in the next chapter. Right now, we're talking about a very competitive market in that there are a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers. Does anybody know a market where there's only one buyer? Everybody knows the market where there's only one seller is called a monopoly. Anybody know the name of a market with only one buyer? Monopsony. So like monopoly, except for the last part, is Sony instead of plea. Monopoly. Monopsony. All right. What is an example of a one buyer market? You're like, oh, those don't happen. That doesn't ever happen. Yes, they do. You know a market with one buyer? NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer. Well, soccer's got a lot of buyers. Professional sports leagues, monopsonies. Okay. So what happens on the spectrum? It's just so happens we're starting at competitive markets. There's many buyers, many sellers. Means there's a lot of stores out there and there's a lot of customers. If you're a customer and there's a lot of different stores and you're saying, well, I don't want to pay $40 for the sweater, I'll give you 20. Is the store going to work with you? No, you're a price taker. Okay. And in a competitive market, if you're a seller and you're like, I want to charge $10 more than anybody else, how's that going to work out for you? Not well, because you're in a competitive market. You're a price taker. No one has market power. And identical products, everybody's like, well, there's no markets that have identical products, are there? Meet commodities. Oh, crude oil. It's a pretty big market. Identical product. All right. Corn from Iowa versus corn versus Newberry, South Carolina. All right. Okay. It's corn. All right. The commodities. These are identical products. There's your competitive markets. There's many buyers, many sellers. You can sell corn for flour. You can sell corn for fuel. You can sell corn for a lot of different things. There's a lot of different buyers. A lot of sellers too. A lot of different farmers. A lot of distributors. Okay. Questions about a competitive market? Nothing? Good? Understood? All right. Because what we're going to do is 4 different types of markets. Competitive markets, lots of buyers, lots of sellers, identical products or services. Okay. Monopolies, one seller, lots of buyers. Okay. Some market power for that seller. All right. Monopolistic competition, which is aspects of both of these, a few sellers, lots of buyers. And then we're also going to talk about oligopolies, which is my first favorite, where we start talking about game theory. All right, oligopoly means, oli means few, so a few sellers, okay? So buckle up the next 4 weeks. That's all we got left, man. This week, 3 other weeks, and then it's finals. Do you believe that? Does that hit home a little bit? You're almost there, man. You're almost there. So you'll be on summer break saying, whoa, what happened? In no time, okay? All right. What did I tell you matters most out of these cost curves? Which one's the most important? Remember this one? I told you you can absolutely forget everything I'm going to tell you, but if you could remember this one thing. Marginal cost, right? All right, why? Because we have to remember, we want to operate where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. You're like, great, we covered marginal cost last week with all these cost curves. So what? Well, what do we have to determine now? Marginal revenue, which varies based on the type of market you're in. So the next 4 weeks, we know marginal cost, boom, you got it, okay? Next 4 weeks, we will learn the marginal revenues of the 4 different types of markets, and all you need to know is operate when marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Cool? All right? Not that complicated. 5 chapters, but not that complicated. It really comes down to MC equals MR. So let's get busy deriving MR. Sound good? All right. May I erase? All right, we're going to draw this again here in a bit. I need space. Competitive markets, man. Competitive markets. So as long as all that's in your notes above what I'm about to write, it'll help you. Okay, the book gives an example. I believe it's milk. Yep, milk, still milk. And we're going to derive things about revenue. Remember last time we did total cost equals, total fixed cost plus total variable cost, and then we did averages and all that. We're going to do the same thing. We're just doing revenues this time. At the end of the day, we want to find marginal revenue and then compare it to where it equals marginal cost. That should be written in your notes like a crazy person would. Okay? So this example, they go through, if you do the reading, I hope you do the reading. It's generally the first thing I find out when people are struggling, they're not doing the reading. It literally walks you through an example. We're going to look at table 1 and table 2. I'm basically going to put them all in one table because it kind of repeats. And then we'll be able to derive marginal cost and marginal revenue. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to end up giving you marginal cost. Like last week I gave you some revenue numbers. I'm going to end up giving you marginal cost. And all you got to do is look at the table and see where they equal. And that's how many units you need to produce. And everyone's like, well, who cares? Well, if you know how many units you need to produce, whether you're producing BMWs, milk, cookies, whatever, if you know how much output you need to make, you know how much inputs you need to buy. Things like steel, things like rubber, things like sugar, things like whatever, things like labor. And if you know how much labor you need to buy, do you know how many people you need to hire? Yep. And if you show up as a young hot shot with all the answers, first of all, humble yourself, okay? Second of all, if you show up and you see that their marginal cost exceeds their marginal revenue, is that company losing money? Yeah, you can point that out, and that makes you very, very smart and very, very valuable to an organization. So let's learn something today. All right, we're going to do 8 rows. Actually, we're going to do 9. Yep, because we do 0 there. Let's go quantity. I'm going to start over here. Myself some room. Let's go price. Let's go total revenue, which you know equals price times quantity, right? So let's just make that Q. Price times quantity equals total revenue. Yes? These are my columns. All right. Then we got average revenue, which equals total revenue divided by quantity. I'm sure I'm doing them in the right order here. Yep. And then we're going to have marginal revenue, which you remember in economics, it's just a language, right? Marginal means next. What's the revenue I'm getting next? So if I go from 1 unit to 2 units, I go from 2 units to 3 units, et cetera, that's my marginal revenue. So my marginal revenue is change, delta, in total revenue, given some change in quantity. Change in total revenue divided by change in quantity. These are my columns out of the table. So let's do quantities. Let's go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Brian, remember in office hours, I told you this is the part I hate where I gotta draw up this whole table.
Yes, love to draw.
Well, it's not, it's because I gotta keep this on the same row and that type of stuff. It's harder than it looks, especially when you're live on the internet. Okay? What's the thing about competitive markets and price? We said we're price takers. All right. So, relatively speaking, is the price of a loaf of bread the same pretty much everywhere? Relatively speaking, it's not identical, all right? But the price of corn per bushel is identical. Okay. The price of gold right now, which is a commodity, is set. Price of crude oil, you can look it up. Okay, it's set. So we're doing milk here. Milk is set. Okay. Let's say it's $6 a gallon. We're just throwing this out here. At 0 gallons, there's no money, right? It's 6 the whole. Okay. So we're doing it doesn't change. Why doesn't it change in a competitive market? It's a fixed price essentially. Yeah. Because in a competitive market, you can't come in and say, hey, you know what, it costs this much for milk. I'm going to undercut everybody and still stay in business. You're not going to undercut everybody because something like milk is a highly competitive market anyway. It's probably as low as it possibly can be. And can you start charging more for a gallon of milk than the other guy down the road? No. No one's going to buy your milk. It better be really good milk, right? No one's going to pay extra for it. So let's just assume then that price is going to stay flat because it's a competitive market. There's many buyers, many sellers. Everybody's a price taker. The market just says supply and demand. Here's the price of milk. Understood? Okay. Total revenue is nothing more than price times quantity. We don't have that here because we got 0 quantity. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and lastly 48. Miss Watson would be proud. She's my 2nd grade teacher. 3rd, I can't remember 2nd. Got me? Okay. Very easy. Price times quantity equals total revenue. Remember how that was confusing at first? It's the same thing as this. Price times quantity, supply, demand. And we're in a market with a tax, right? That box is total revenue. This is just me just drawing the margins. All right. So, average revenue is total revenue divided by quantity. We're not going to worry about that right here, right? Okay. Don't worry about that right there. Well, then total revenue is 6, quantity is 1. What's my average revenue? 6. Total revenue is 12, quantity is 2. What's my average revenue? Total revenue is 18, quantity is 3. What's my average revenue? All right, see a pattern here? Follow? Competitive markets actually make it pretty easy. A lot of things are the same thing as price, right? Now, marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is just, okay, I'm going from 0 to 1, or I'm going from 1 to 2. How much total revenue am I making? So my change in total revenue from going from 0 to 1 is what? So what I'm doing is going from here to here and putting it right here, in between. I'm going from here to here, right? What'd I get? What did I get? What more? What more? See, 12 to 18, 18, 24, 24, 30, 30, 36, 36, 42, 42, 48. Everybody's like, well, this is going to be easy 4 weeks. Do you think that the other markets are just like this or not? No, these are competitive markets. Everybody's a price taker. All All right, nobody's a price setter, nobody's a price getter. You're a price taker. You go to the market, and that's the cost of milk. You got me? Now, we got this house. That's good. Was it complicated? Nope. I'm telling you right now, you can wow some people. You walk into a meeting and you get this data. That's not hard data to get, is it not? My daughter can open a lemonade stand in our neighborhood, and I can calculate this. Yes? You can go to the boardroom at BMW, and they're calculating this. You understand? That's skill sets that you cannot not have. Whether you're opening a neighborhood lemonade stand with your daughter or working for one of the best companies in the world. You understand? All right, good. Now, we got total revenue. Total revenue at zero quantity is zero, right? I'm just going to change that to a zero. You can leave it as a dash. What if I then threw in total cost? You want me to draw? I don't want to draw another table. Can I just tack this on? So what I'm taking is we just did table 1, and I'm adding table 2 to the right. Everybody good with that? All right, good. If you weren't, I was still going to do it anyway. I'm just trying to feign politeness. Had a fellow come to my house, was working on something this morning. He wasn't doing a good job. I did not feign politeness at all. You dropping oil in my driveway, bro. Came back to clean it up. Parked in the driveway again, dropping more oil. Yeah. So yeah, sorry about that. Small commercial break. All right. So what do we need here? Well, we need cost. But to get marginal cost, we need things like total cost. All right. And here we go. Hey, you know what? On your paper, do we have room to put total cost right here? Or you can put it over here? You can put it over here? Right, you've made real nice rows there. I don't want to jack them up in your notes. I'm trying to be polite for those folks that are watching this video. Okay? All right, let's put it over here. You know what? Yeah. Let's just write another table. Can we just write another table? Y'all got this table? Let's just write. I was trying to be lazy on you, but I think it's easier if we just write another table. I don't want to jack you up. Everybody got this? Everybody got? If you don't, it's table 1 in your hymnal. Week 14, chapter 14, week 12. Week 11, no, it's 12. 4 more is 16. 16 weeks in a semester. We're in week 12. March is gone. Can you believe that? March is gone. All right, so I'm going to erase this. And we're going to do table 2. Get these easier. Y'all just come down and put another table. Sound good? See, my professors would never turn around and look at me. They just keep writing tables and talking. They sure as heck wouldn't ask me what I thought. They do things like this, y'all. They go, Kiesler, what's the answer here? Never even look at me. Socratic method is crazy. It's not my pedagogy. All right, table 2. Quantity. Total revenue, which we calculated before. Yes, that's on your table you have in your notes right now. Table 1. Total cost is going to be given. All right, so we calculated this before. I'm going to give you total cost. Then we're going to come up with profit. Pi is profit. Okay. Then we're going to look at marginal revenue, which we already know. We calculated this in table 1. All right. Then we're going to look at marginal cost. Okay. All right. And then we're going to look at change in profit. Yeah, I'm glad we rewrote the table here. And I'm going to do quantities again with 0. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Give myself a little more room. And we know from the previous table that the following is our total revenue, price times quantity. We calculated that. Okay? 0, 6, 12, 18, 24. Make sure my rows line up. 30, 36. I'm back on the farm. Gotta make sure my corn rows line up. 42, 48. All right, we calculated that in table 1. All right, now I'm giving you total cost. I'm saying here's the data for your cost. Okay, just like you would walk into a boardroom and look at total revenue, total cost, you're going to start making some calculations. Total cost at 0 units is $3. What do I know at 0 units? What kind of cost is that if it's $3? I'm not producing anything, so what type of cost must that be? Well, it could be a type of, that could be the type of this cost. Total cost is what kind of cost plus what cost? Variable cost plus fixed cost. So if you're not producing, is this variable cost? That's all your fixed costs. So now you know your fixed cost for the entire table. Remember that last week? All right. And so your total profit, which is total revenue plus, or excuse me, total revenue minus total cost equals profit. Here is -3. All right. And now I'm just going to give you the cost. All right. So in 1 unit, your total cost is $5. You know 3 of it's fixed. So how much variable cost we got? 2. Okay. All right. It's fixed cost is going to be 3 no matter what. So now you know as you produce more, if you're making a cake and that's your bakery, you got fixed costs for your rent and your power, right? Okay. Well, power is a little bit variable, but you got to have it turned on. Okay. As you add more eggs and more batter and more people and more power, more ovens, then your costs go up. So as you produce more, your variable costs are going to escalate. Remember that curve we drew? That variable costs go up over time. All right. Now, back to total cost. These are just given to you. It's 8 now, then it's 12, then it's 17, then it's 23, then it's 30. Then it's 38, then it's 47. So all the way down here at 8, unit of 8, we know fixed cost is still 3. How much variable cost I got? 44. Yeah? All right. That's why if you look at it, over time, you're looking at money, cost, and revenues over quantity, okay? Your marginal costs go up like that. Your average total costs go like that. All right, and your average variable costs go like that. All right, tell me that doesn't start to mimic that. All right. Whew, now we need to calculate some profits. What's my profit at 1 quantity? $1. Now this could be like $1. This could be tens of thousands of dollars. It could be millions of dollars. All right, we'll just simplify. 4, 6. 7, 7, 6, 4, 1. Huh, interesting. Interesting. It goes up, it peaks, plateaus, and it starts to go down. Is that something you better start paying attention to? Because if you keep hiring people indefinitely, your costs are going up, are they not? That's what this curve does. Average total cost, average variable cost keeps going up. Notice what we haven't put on here yet. Marginal revenue, right? All right, did we calculate marginal revenue in table 1? Perfect, I'm just going to plug those in, okay? All right, what was it every time? 6. You know, I'm going to do it in a different color. And remember, they're in between 2 numbers, right? Tough with a board without lines. It gets complicated quickly. Let's do another color. Marginal cost. And again, I'm going to give you this, but you could actually look at it and calculate. You may remember how to calculate marginal cost.
So the change in total cost over the change in quantity.
And boy. And draw a delta to save me this one. Change in total cost over change in quantity, right? All right. Total cost goes up by 3, divided by the change in quantity is 1. So marginal cost in this example is 3. Oh, I'm sorry. Goes up by how much? Goes up by 2. What did I say, 3? What was I looking at? I was looking at the number 3. Total cost goes from $3 to $5, correct? That's 2. Divided by the quantity, change in quantity went from 0 to 1, that's 1. 2 divided by 1. See, now you know why this class has a math prerequisite, right? It doesn't, by the way. Okay. 2. Same thing carried on because we're running out of time. 5, 8, that's 3 divided by 1, right? Guess what that is? Funny how that works. Just for giggles, let's look at the change in profit, which would be marginal revenue minus marginal cost. Okay. What did it do? What does all this mean? Where do I want to operate? Do I have both of these things now? Where does that occur? Where does marginal revenue equals marginal cost? Going from where to where? No, literally, where does 6 equal 6? Right there, right? That's how many units you want to produce. How many units you want to produce? Now, I know it gets a little confusing with a board without lines. But to get this answer, where did I move from? It's in between here, right? Is it not? But to get there, I got to do what this? Yeah? How much do I want to produce? Optimal quantity to maximize your profit is the output of 5. You got it? A lot of people want to give me this answer, but to get to that 6, which is in between the two, that's why it's so stressful drawing these things on the board. To get to that quantity, I got to go from 4 to 5, do I not? Here, you're like, wait a minute, there's some money left out here. I can still make money. But what's the problem? You're starting to lose money, and you don't even realize it. Where does this end? Not well. You want to run the tank dry and no more. Do you want to stop up here and leave this money? Or do you want to run the tank dry? Get all the lemonade out the lemon, you feel me? All right. Take it to 0. Operate for marginal cost equals marginal revenue. That means going from 4 to 5 and stop here. Now, if I know the optimal amount of output before I start losing money, do I know how much inputs to buy? Which includes raw supplies, how much electricity, how long to be open, how many sandwiches to make, how many people to hire. Or should we just wing it and hope things will work out for the best? Is that good business? That's gambling. This took all the guesswork out of it. Were any of these numbers hard to calculate? Do I know exactly how many units I need to make now? If I know how many exactly how many units I need to make, do I know how many people I need to hire? You bet. You ever see a company have layoffs? Because this moved up here, and they need less output, which means they need less. Does that make sense? Is that a valuable calculation that you can make? Is it complicated? Let's show it graphically. See if that'll help. Somebody help me. I walk around a lot, set my book down, I forget where it's at. It happens. Can't wait for me to go see now, right? Can you imagine me in a nursing home screaming at people about supply and demand? It's gonna be awesome. I hope they have applesauce. To this, let's just add one line. I can use this graph right here. So this is cost and revenue in dollars, right? We got all my costs here. Okay. Where do I want to operate? Well, let's say this is $6. Remember the previous graph? My price was $6, was it not? Because it's a competitive market, the price was set for price takers. So this is price. It's also what? Remember the previous graph, or the previous table, I'm sorry, what was my average revenue? It was also, my average revenue was $6. What's my marginal revenue? $6. P equals AR equals MR equals 6. Okay. There's my equilibrium. Pray tell, what's that quantity? Bingo. Bingo. That's a bingo. Is that where I operate? Marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost. You want to operate right there. Why? Look at that graph. Am I making money? Am I making money? These are just on the margins, so they don't tell me a whole lot in terms of the total amount of money I'm making or losing. They're an indicator of when I should start or when I should stop. You understand? Okay? If my money is here, right there is my total cost. True? Quit emailing me. There you go. Okay? Look at this. Is that box my total cost? Yeah. This is my cost, right? This is some dollar value, it's cost. Okay, this is the quantity, right? This box right here, that's the reason why it's in red, folks. My total cost. All right. What's this box right here? Total revenue. So the green box is total cost. Red box, or excuse me, green box is total revenue. The red box is total cost, and we know that profit equals total revenue minus total cost. Then, my friends, what's this right here? Profit. Did I not just take what we did in this very simple table, which is very easy to read and very easy to calculate, put it on a graph, all right, and find that my revenue is here, my costs are here, the leftover is called profit, and that's what you're after. That's what you're after. Okay. Now, what I just did is I just combined figure 1, 2, 3, 4, and figure 5, all in one. You're like, why'd you do that? It's hard to read. Well, that's the point. You got to read. That's 5 figures in one. Okay. You guys understand the table so far? Do you buy that what I drew in the tables represent every one of these lines? And then from these lines, I can see revenues here, costs are there, that's profit. You'll buy all that? Good. So I'm about to erase the whole table and draw nothing but graphs from here on out. What I want you to understand, these graphs just aren't coming out of thin air. They're coming from tables somewhere. You will be a straight up player. You walk into a boardroom and say, graph, we're making a profit by this much, but we've employed 5 too many people. Or if we employ 5 more, we can make more money. Does that have value? You have no idea. You have no idea. My first job paid me well, okay, for the time, all right? and I was in over my head, but you know the one thing I was calculating? Elasticity. We've covered that. First chapter, did we not? Every business on the face of the earth, if you can do this, bring it here, and tell them this, that, and that, which is just profit equals total revenue minus total cost, and how many output they need to make, and then say, hey, if we need 5, we need 30 employees. You are a very valuable person, whether it is your own business, Google, or whoever. That never changes. That's what makes economics beautiful. No, you just got to learn marketing, accounting, and all the other stuff to go with it, and you will be unstoppable. If only somebody had figured out how to create a degree that teaches real-world stuff like this to make you valuable. smcsc.edu/BABA. That's my Baba, baby. All right. Team and I put together a hell of a group. I want y'all to stay for it. All right. Beautiful, beautiful. Easy, right? Easy. All right. You read it. This is 5 graphs in one, and we've done it in no time. You understand? 5 graphs in one. Let's draw a couple more graphs with our remaining 9 minutes. Okay. Time for light calisthenics. You know what? You also have to decide. I'm going to erase all this. Is this cool? Y'all got it? You also have to decide, you have to discern and then decide, am I making money? But will you always make money right out of the gate? No. How will you know? Because generally speaking, no business makes money right out of the gate. How will you know if you're losing money at a rate at which you'll never recover? And should I stay open or should I shut down? Well, this first example, this was one we had right here, we were making money, right? I'm going to draw another one right in this place where you're not. Bear with me. This is figure 5B. Let's say price is there. And we know in a competitive market, that's also average revenue and also marginal revenue, right? All right. And then, so this is your marginal revenue. Okay. And let's say average total cost is here. All right. I'll let you catch up on the graph here. Send the text over here. This is all this crap. All right. Cost is up here. Well, I'm going to operate where? Marginal cost equals marginal revenue, right? I'm going to operate right there. Correct? Okay. That's my quantity, yes? All right. What's the problem here? That's my cost. Here's my revenue. That's my cost. Does cost exceed revenue? What is this box right here then? What's my loss? Anybody can make decisions when you're making money. It's when you're losing money that it counts. You understand? All right. So how do we know when to stop? You ever heard the saying, if you find yourself digging a hole, like speaking, and you're saying something stupid and it's getting worse and worse and worse, and they say, if you find yourself digging yourself a hole, what's the first step? Put down the shovel. Correct? It's getting harder to get out. Okay? What's the equivalent when we're looking at revenues and costs in business? Well, in costs, right here we have costs that exceed revenues. In the short run, SR, fixed costs are fixed. Can you do anything about them? Nothing you can do here. So what kind of cost am I looking at? What determines, there's only two different types of costs, right? Whether you stay open. And let's add in the short run. In the short run, fixed costs are fixed. In the long run, all costs are variable. In the long run, if I'm doing this, what do? Close. In the long run, close if you're losing money. Yes? I don't know a good business model that in the long run where you're not making money that you should stay open. In the short run, what's the only cost? So I'll ask another question. What are the only costs you can control? Total cost equal what? Plus? Nothing we can do here, yeah? In the short run. What about in the long run? Or excuse me, what about in the short run? What can we control? If your variable costs exceed your total revenue, or excuse me, exceed your revenue, what should you do? Put down the shovel. If I'm making cupcakes and every time I make a cupcake, my debt gets worse, should I stay open? Nope. Now, I do a lot better job in some subsequent videos that you guys have available on MindTap explaining this. In fact, this is a whole lecture, do you understand? All right. In large terms, our costs are made up of two things. Fixed costs, which up front is usually a lot. You got to build a building, you got to do all these things, right? And variable costs. This is my total cost, right? Okay. It's this pillar. But if my revenues cover my fixed costs, okay, my revenues cover these fixed costs, don't they? Done. And this much of my variable costs stay open. Why? I'm going to operate at a loss. You're tempted to shut down anyway, but if I shut down, all right, I'm not covering any of my variable costs. If I stay open, this is my total cost. If I shut down, this is my total cost. What would you rather have? A smaller loss or a bigger loss? Smaller loss. So here it makes sense to stay open. Now, if this is my total cost, these are my variable costs, this is my fixed cost, all right, and this is my revenue. First of all, you have a crappy business model, a crappy graphic, but this is my revenue, right? I'm covering that much of my fixed cost. My loss, though, is all of this. If I shut down, that goes away. What should I do? Because if you shut down, variable cost is 0. Remember the table? If you shut down and this goes away, this is my loss. If I operate I lose more money. So here's the thing. In the short run, if you cannot cover your variable costs, shut down. If in the short run you can cover your variable costs, which makes your fixed costs, which you got to pay either way, that's rent, right? It makes them a little bit smaller, keep operating. See, here's the thing. When you're operating at a profit, you want to maximize your profit. When you're operating at a loss, you want to minimize your loss. Okay, there's a great little table with a couple shortcuts, if you will. Table 3. Find the quantity at which price equals marginal cost. We know in a competitive market, that's where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. If the price is less than the average variable cost, shut down immediately and remain out of business. That's what this is over here. I do an entire extra lecture that you'll see in MindTap. I do it from my house, okay? Nothing else, look around my house, right? And I explain that for a lot more time. We just don't have enough time today. If average variable cost is being covered by your price, okay? Operate in the short run, but exit in the long run if you're still at a loss, okay? If average total cost is less than price, stay in business and enjoy your profits, okay? If we're profiting over here, awesome. You know how many people to hire now. If you're losing over here, make sure you're covering your variable costs so you're not digging your debt even deeper. You understand? All right. This is the part where this semester drives me nuts, because normally I would say, thank you, and then see you back here on later in the week, and we just hammer out the rest. Here's the thing. I've already recorded that lecture. It's online, but I looked at it last week. You know how many average views I had in MindTap of my lectures? In a class of 28 people. How many? 6. And that was up from last week, which was 4. Which tells me statistically there are people in here not watching the lectures. Come on, man. If I pull myself out like this in person, you know I'm trying on video too. If you watch it, this class gets real easy. If you read it, no worries. You watch it and you read it. Little fellow email me, I don't want to pass your class. I love your class. I need an award. Give him the book twice. Twice. Does he love my class? Does he enjoy my class? This isn't soccer or bowling or golf down at the gym, okay? This is a real world class that can give you real world skills that you can give you real world pay. Dismissed. Got to put in the time, folks. Got to put in the time.